Bitcoin is close to becoming worthless.
Let's go. Now, what's the Bitcoin?
Bitcoin's like rat poison.
Yeah. Oh,
The greatest scam in history.
let's get it.
Bitcoin will go to fucking zero.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Bitcoin Brief. I'm going to keep this brief because Jordan and Mr. Crown are on my case. Working as fast as I can here, but editing out this robot on this episode. You won't hear most of it, you'll hear some of it, but fuck me, is he annoying. I just wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone who's been supporting Ungovernable Misfits, and a big thank you to Foundation Devices for supporting the show. If you haven't already checked them out, go to foundation.xyz. They make the best hardware in the space. It's the best build quality. It's fully open source. They have an incredible team, and the UX is piss easy. They make cypherpunk tools for fuckwits, and anyone can use this, even me. If you have any questions or you want to reach out, feel free and I'll be happy to go through things with you. For anything super technical, I'll pass you on to Q. Enjoy the show. Oh, before you do that, if you want to buy one of these incredible passports, use the code Ungovernable. It will get you a discount and it will let them know that I'm shilling. Enjoy the show.
Howdy. How are we getting on?
Better than you, mate. You sound fucked.
Yes, I have been very much not 100% for the past... It's been sticking around, actually. It's like almost a week now since last Wednesday. Just been full of cold and sounding just generally like a bit of a weasel. So 2 apologies to make at the outset of the show. Number 1, to you for the editing, to have to get rid of all my sniffles and coughs and mouse clicks when I have to mute off to go and cough my guts up. And number 2, to the listeners for sounding again just like a bit of a weasel. Hopefully normal service will be resumed in 2 weeks' time when bought off whatever it is this is, and I'm feeling 100% again.
Quite nasally. Are you training or are you sort of just cuddled up with the lemsip?
Haven't touched a weight or gone for a run in, since last Tuesday.
Oh, I was going to say you're sounding small.
Yeah, and do you know what? Like, I hate not being able to like train and exercise because it's like one of my like how I de-stress, how I kind of step away from the relentless onslaught of non-stop notifications and work stuff. Yeah. It's just nice to have a quick hour to yourself where you just put some tunes on and decompress a little bit. And to not have that, I can definitely tell, kind of without getting too deep mentally, that I need a bit of a de-stress and to stretch my legs a little bit. But yeah, I'm not quite there yet, unfortunately.
Talking about like the relentless onslaught, I feel it, and you must get it way more than I do. I need to sort a way to, when I'm training, actually not have my phone. I feel like I get pulled back into it. There's that Dunbar number thing, and it's like you can't interact with that many people. But we do. It's too much for your brain to take all the time. And that time where you step away, if you're listening to music or like what I do, I just have like my Spotify on. My phone will be ding, 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 ding. Do you find a way of like putting it away or having like a different device?
I used to be much better at this. I'm terrible for it now, to be honest. Like, unless I'm going for a run where obviously, I'm not going to be on Telegram when I'm running. If I'm in the gym, then I'll take my laptop with me and my laptop will be playing like a podcast or some tunes. Yeah. But then obviously I've still got all my notifications coming through as well. Yes, I know I could just put it on Do Not Disturb, blah, blah, blah. But the temptation's just too great, unfortunately. When I used to be much better at it, and this will make you laugh this, because it's only in recent years that I used to do this, iPod Shuffle.
Ah.
No screen, just preload it with some tracks.
Okay.
Leave the phone away. I should get back to that really because
that's a good idea.
Yeah. So, and you could probably get one for like, I don't know, 20, 30 quid because they're very old now.
That's actually a very good idea. I might do that because, yeah, the temptation is there. I find that I get distracted. I'll finish a set and then it will be like, whatever. It's like we need to sort something with the printing of shirts, or it's a message from John asking me a million questions, like, how was your day? I miss you. I really hope we can see each other soon. That kind of stuff. And you just get pulled in very quickly.
Yeah, indeed. Because I go through the same process because I try to like time my rest periods, depending on what I'm doing, like no more than 2 minutes. And it's like, oh, it's fine. Yeah, I'll just get to some notifications. I can do that in 2 minutes and I'll be ready to go again. Like I'm not losing anything. And then you get sucked in and then you look at your watch and you've had like a 6 minute rest and you're like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Actionable advice there.
There you go. Winter's definitely here, mate. I don't know, only speaking from the UK, but weather's been fucking atrocious, which is probably part of the reason that I feel the way that I do. I don't know what it's been like in your neck of the woods.
I can tell you that cycling to and from the gym in the pissing rain is not fun. It's not fun. Turn up back at home and just like wring my clothes out.
It hurts even more because we literally have not had a summer either.
It's been quite shit.
In other news, did you hear Mr. Odell's call out in last Friday's RHR?
I did. Yeah, challenge not accepted.
Do you want to give some context for the listeners that don't listen to RHR?
Is it Ape Mithrandir who?
It was Ape, yeah. Legend.
Yeah, love Ape. Ape had messaged in something like Matt had mentioned that he might stop if someone else picks up the mantle, or I can't remember how it was worded, something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
But not that he wanted him to stop, but just saying that hopefully everyone appreciates what we're doing. And both Matt and Marty had said, yeah, they appreciate what we're doing, but called us out and said, oh, I challenge you to do a live. I think they said a weekly live show or something like that.
Yes, something or unedited, or yeah, I think it was both.
An unedited weekly live show.
Yeah.
Challenge not accepted. Unless there's like serious sats on the line. It's just not for me. Don't have time for a weekly show at this point. The way that we put our shows out, I like to have the control of crafting and creating something. When it goes out, I know, okay, I've had the time to put this out in the exact way that we want to do it. When it goes out, I'm like, okay, I'm proud of that. I did with Samourai maybe like 5 or 6 live episodes.
Yeah, I remember those.
They were good, but in all honesty, just I don't enjoy them as much. It's like there's too much going on for my head and I get all stressed out. So I just like enjoy how we do it. What about you? You kind of like the live stuff, do you?
I fuck.
Oh no,
I lost connection.
I've lost you. Have you muted yourself?
Can you hear me?
No, I can hear you now.
Yeah, my VPN keeps dropping out. Hopefully that's not going to be an issue, but apologies.
Okay.
Forgot what you asked me now. My brain is scattered. Oh, live shows. I like listening to them. Hate participating in them just because our listeners will have no idea how much of a complete drongo I actually sound like when we record these. Max makes me sound like I actually know what I'm talking about. Plus, when I feel like shit like this, he has the opportunity to edit out all my coughs and sniffles so that you guys don't have to be put through that. In terms of the frequency in the live shows, I like the format. It would be great to do a weekly show, but we're not quite there yet. Maybe one day. For now, RHR, you guys can keep the crown. We'll let you keep it for now.
Yeah. Well, also, we're a different type of show. So
that's true.
If you want a really good live weekly show, listen to RHR. That's what you do. And if you want the best bi-weekly show in the world, come to us.
There you go. One of my biggest fears of going more frequently than what we are now is finding enough relevant stuff to talk about to make like a worthwhile hour-long show. The last thing I ever want to do is start dipping into talking about Sailor buying some Bitcoin or, an exchange adding Lightning or something like that. Just to fill some airspace. Like I'm just not about that life. And if that means that we stay bi-weekly, then, I'm absolutely fine with that. Not that there's anything wrong with that per se. It's just I have zero interest in talking about that sort of crap. Yeah.
+1. Well, anyway, appreciate you, Matt and Marty.
Likewise.
It's UK versus US.
Yeah, knives versus guns.
Yeah, guns win. That's the problem.
Yeah,
guns
I was going to say, I don't think we're going to fare very well there.
Anyway, what else have we got on AOB?
You've been watching some video about Monero?
Ah, yeah. Okay. I didn't get the whole way through it because we have a billion different Telegram groups and channels that are like subdivided into different shows and all this
Thanks
kind
for
of
that,
stuff.
Jordan, by the way.
Yeah. Thanks, Jordan. But also, I'm going to whinge about it because it took me fucking like 30 minutes to actually find the video that he'd sent. But anyway, he sent it. I finally found it. I got 30 minutes through a 40-minute video.
For context, by the way, listeners, sorry to cut you off. As Max said, this is a 40-minute video that Max sent me 10 minutes ago saying that he wanted to talk about it on the show. So I was like, it's going to have to be just you, mate, because there's no way I can cram in a 40-minute video in the next 10 minutes. So that's why I've got not much to say about this following topic.
It is a leaked video or presentation from Chainalysis speaking to a government agency. I won't say which one because I don't know what I should and shouldn't say. But anyway, we've got hold of this video. I think it's been pulled from most places, but I've got it. So if anyone desperately wants it, ask me and I can send it on. What I took away from it without finishing it is Chainalysis are a lot more sophisticated than maybe sometimes we give them credit for. I often hear people say like, oh, they're not that advanced yet, or I wouldn't worry about that, or like, you're being hyper paranoid. Even with Monero, they are quite advanced in the tools that they're using. I actually got to see the tools as they're doing the walkthrough, and it's pretty impressive. The main things that they went through that I got to anyway was IP tracking through services and swaps. They're monitoring fee structures, fee rates, and building profiles of behavior. So if someone's using 2 times the standard fee rate because they want to get something through faster, or they have like a slightly different fee rate choice through the wallet they're using, they can create a profile of that user and make it more likely that, oh, okay, this is the same person. They use heuristics to rule out certain decoys, and they also divulge that they are, which we can all kind of guess anyway, but they are running nodes that people are connecting to gather information. So, yeah, pretty sophisticated stuff. I guess the suggestion would be, I mean, we can probably get some info from Seth on this, but I guess, and it's kind of obvious, but you should probably be running your own node if you're using Monero. And I think probably the easiest way to do that is if you're like running Start9 or something like that, you can actually run it on there. That might be the easiest way. Again, someone might correct me, but the reason I wanted to bring this up is there's been more use of Monero in the groups of people that I associate with and talk to often. I just don't want people to be lax and think, okay, I'm using Monero, all the stuff that I cared about with Bitcoin, I don't really need to worry about because it's just private by default. I just don't want people to have that thought and then be lax and then get themselves into some sort of trouble or problems. Still run a node, still be thoughtful of the software that you use. You still want to be connecting over Tor if possible, or at absolute minimum to be running a VPN. Just stay safe.
Yeah, you've kind of, here I'm purely responding on what you just said. I haven't watched the video. But you kind of ticked off most of the stuff I was going to say in terms of mitigations of Tor to protect your IP address. Fee rates, like as long as your wallet allows custom fee selection, then, you know, just be mindful of varying that, I suppose, to kind of thwart this type of analysis. And then the final piece that you haven't covered was that you mentioned that they were using heuristics to de-anonymize decoys and stuff like that. Isn't there the big update coming soon where instead of it being like 1 of 16, you're 1 of all possible Monero outputs? So that seems to me like a bit of a non-issue if and when that does become live. If I, again, very uneducated, especially compared to somebody like Seth, but it seems like that would be, you know, a quick fix for that type of heuristic to be applied or to be thwarted.
I think so, but it's not in yet. People are using this now, and they are actively monitoring swapping services. They're running nodes. They are gathering information. and they are sophisticated. The guy who's speaking and giving the presentation, to be fair, actually, although he's a cunt what he's doing, he sounds like one of us. Like, he has an appreciation for the technology. He's really nerding out and building tools, and Seth will probably go into this at some point with us, but it sounds like they're on the bleeding edge. So it's just a warning. It's just like a be careful, use Tor, use all the tools. Don't do anything that's too weird or out the ordinary. Be careful using swapping services if you're not covering your own back. And just,
Don't underestimate the enemy.
Yeah, exactly that. Don't underestimate them, because I hear that all the time. Like, oh, I don't think they're that advanced. I wouldn't worry about that. It's like, no, you probably actually should. Because if they're doing that for Monero, they are certainly doing it for Bitcoin.
Oh, yeah. Good PSA. While we're on the topic, moving into the news section, by the way, while we're on the topic of privacy, there was another hearing for the Samourai wallet guys last week in New York. There has been 8 terabytes worth of data in this discovery that's been shared. Lots of headlines here to talk about. I'm going to read some from No Bullshit Bitcoin article, but also 2 massive shout outs. One to Frank Corver from Bitcoin Mag, who's done a wonderful job of covering this case. Follow him on Twitter. And also the guys at The Rage, which is an online blog which focuses on very much this sort of stuff. Also has a great coverage of it as well. So the defense has planned to argue that even if all of the claims made in the initial indictment were true, they would still not meet the bar for charge, and that this is not how Congress intended the money laundering statutes to be used. So I think one of the guys is actually trying to say that this shouldn't even be a trial in the first place based on the claims made in the initial indictment. Not sure how successful that's going to be, but it's definitely a bold move. All in all, prosecutors have communicated that they managed to extract data from 15 out of 44 devices for one of the individuals and 25 out of 27 devices discovered from another of the individuals, which is quite an eye-opening number, especially the second one. They've basically been able to extract data from 99% of all of those devices.
I find that unreasonable. When I read that, I thought, really?
Yeah, that was quite surprising to me, if I'm being honest. Knowing the little I do about these 2 individuals, you would think that, I don't know, that they'd have up-to-date devices with good levels of encryption on, but maybe that's not the case, or maybe there's vulnerabilities with newer devices that are not being communicated yet that have allowed them to access these. But
that's my question, because, as you say, knowing the little I know about them, that sounds quite shocking to me. That sounds unrealistic to me. So my initial thought was, is that bullshit? Or have they got some sort of clever way to get into things we would not think possible? Because if I was going to think of anyone who would have, as you say, everything up to date, doing everything in the correct way, and be like an impenetrable fortress, it would be them.
Yeah, but when you look at the numbers, right, 44 devices from one guy and 27 devices from another guy, like, they're not all going to be the latest cutting edge with the latest, security patches, are they? Some of them are going to be old phones and shit like that, with the best will in the world, even if you're somebody in their position, people just get complacent with, in terms of like updating your security periodically, especially when you're talking about these amounts of devices. Like, that's almost a full-time job in itself. So I can completely sympathize with the situation that they found themselves in, purely looking at these devices. And in terms of your comment about it being a lie, like, I don't think that's possible, because they, part of this discovery is that they have to share it with the defense attorneys anyway. Right. So I doubt that very much. But another attorney has argued that setting a trial date is premature, since the defense has not yet reviewed all of the discovery materials, which was provided in mid-August, so less than a month ago. Another attorney has highlighted that they received 8 terabytes of data, which, listen to this, is the equivalent to 75% of the Library of Congress's total information.
Wow.
Crazy. Lots more to cover off, and I'm going to go into detail because I think it's important, especially to us. One of the chaps has requested 2 changes to their bail conditions, namely removing home detention and modifying restrictions on his ability to transact with cryptocurrency, for obvious reasons. This was their guy's sole income, so presumably 99% of their wealth is going to be in cryptocurrency, so they need to use that to live and to fund this defense. The defense has contended that restrictions are unwarranted because this guy was willing to face trial, as he did not believe he had committed any crime. I think both of those were refused I know for a fact the home detention was refused. I'm not sure about the ability to transact. Oh, yeah, sorry. Judge Richard Berman has denied these requests and urged both the prosecution and the defence to, quote, get moving on the case. The prosecution countered by referencing handwritten pages in one gentleman's home that outlined how he would flee the country during a, quote, general emergency. These plans reportedly include using multiple passports, $10,000 in cash, a burner phone, an unused SIM card, and various mnemonic phrases. So I think they're trying to insinuate that this is this guy's, get up and run away from law enforcement plan when they've said themselves that it's called a general emergency plan. But yeah, they're going to try and twist anything they can, I guess.
Yeah, of course.
So that's the main kind of highlights. We'll once again signpost you to Frank Corver and The Rage for any further details. Two great publications on this. The next hearing has been set for December 17th at 10 o'clock Eastern US time. It will include a defense motion to dismiss criminal charges on the grounds of what one gentleman's lawyer described as extraordinarily unusual and a misapplication of money laundering statutes. Very inspired by how hard they're fighting this, just to say that there is no case in the first place. And once again, hope it all goes well. And hope they get through all of that discovery information as quickly as they can to build as solid case as they can, because it sounds like there's a shit ton of information that they need to go through.
Yeah, and a lot riding on this.
Yeah, definitely. It's the most important news story in the whole ecosystem, bar none.
Mm-hmm.
We have two other services winding down operations this year, both fairly lesser known. First one is 1010.1, which is a DLC wallet that enables trustless trade execution. I think we talked about DLCs in a little more detail last time, so if you're interested in what the hell those are, maybe listen to the last show. Here's a quote from the owner or the producer. We've done a lot of reflecting. We know that what we have built is not receiving the traction and growth we want it to have. We also know it won't scale easily to the masses. So due to technical limitations, we are taking a tough decision to wind down 10.10.1. So it sounds like they just haven't found product market fit. So sad to see, but that's business at the end of the day. The second wallet, this one's a wallet that's closing down, is Nayuta wallet. It's a Japan-based self-custodial Bitcoin and Lightning wallet, which cites personal health reasons from the CEO and also being a bit disenfranchised with the way that the Lightning Network is heading. And I quote, "The Lightning Network was initially developed for real-time payments of decentralized money, and it's currently evolved into a business landscape where currently custodial LN solutions are taking center stage." Definitely share that thought process. So sad to see that one close down, but I hope that the health issues work themselves out at least. Also wanted to signpost a cool tutorial, speaking of Lightning Network, by Mr. BTC Sessions about using the new Alby hub. TLDR here, I won't go into too much detail because obviously Ben does that very well in his video. You can have a hosted Lightning node to take all the headaches away. Clearly, there's lots of trade-offs with that we've covered many times before, namely privacy, cost, and trusting whoever's running that server. Or you can also install this Alby hub onto your own node as well. The benefits there is obviously running on your own node, but you still have all the nice hub UI and the hosted channels and all that sort of stuff. So worth checking out if you want to kind of remove some of the headaches of Lightning, but you want to do so by running your own node versus kind of taking the Zeus LSP or the Phoenix approach.
The option of running it on your own node, obviously people can go to Sessions' video to go into full detail, but what's the likelihood that you would have similar uptime as just having them run it? Because to me, that's kind of the reason you would run it, is like you run a Lightning node, you go, oh, okay, great, I'll run my own Lightning node. And then you need to use it for like your pod or your store or whatever it is you're doing. Then it falls over, you fix it, and then it falls over another 10 times and you have problems and you go, fuck this, I'm going to have someone else do it for me. So why would you then bring it back onto your own node and pay for it? It seems like a weird model to me.
There's no subscription fee if you host it yourself.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so if I said that, apologies, but yeah.
Sorry, mate, maybe you didn't.
You'll just have like the LSP. If you go down the LSP route, there's just fees for those channels as there would be with any other LSP-based wallet. But yeah, right. The only subscription fee is if you do the hosted node.
Fine, got you. Okay. You probably didn't say that. I probably just made that up in my own weird little head.
Next up, we have some feedback from the Tor project that have responded to reports of German police de-anonymizing users. I wanted to mention this one because it sounds like a little bit more of a nothing burger. The report is from people using an outdated version of a retired Ricochet application that the Tor project used to use, which I've never heard of, if I'm being honest. They have since released updates to this project, the Ricochet project, that counters timing analysis that older versions were susceptible to. So yeah, I won't go into any further details, but it's kind of just a heads up that if you're kind of running the latest version, then you're already protected against what this law enforcement was saying that they could use to de-anonymize their users. Okay. Tor very much still remains like one of the best options to keep yourself protected online. Okay, big news this one. Very happy. Oh no, we're doing boosts. Yeah, we were talking about brains not working properly. Yeah, let's do
such a teaser.
Boosts. Stay tuned to find out more.
So into boosts, yeah?
Let's hit it.
Late stage hodl with 33,133 sats. QnA. Autocorrect did what to me? Exclamation mark, question mark, exclamation mark. 3 laughing sideways faces. So, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, so I think I mentioned that autocorrect had stuck a finger up his bum and screwed him. Because I think he tried to write sats in one of his recent boosts. And I think he tried to write sats and it converted to days or something like that. All I'll say, late stage hodl, is don't knock it till you tried it.
Solex, thanks once again. Praying or high five hands.
Barnminer, 21,000 sats via Podverse. He said, I listen at 1.13x on mute and then boost out of pity.
And then 3 little goats with olive oil hooves.
Banana Man, 21,000 sats. Love the show name. Max can use these sats to get some more toilet roll for the kids.
Actually, fully out today. I used kitchen roll today. How savage is that?
Ooh, the tough stuff.
Late stage hodl. Completely agree about the doorknobs. Even had a roommate in college who took it to the next level. He would open doors loudly by twisting the doorknob all the way and then letting it go loudly, then closing the door. What a fucking
That's the most passive-aggressive thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, that's not on at all. Do you know what? I can't see the whole boosts on this for some reason.
He said, didn't matter what time of day it was, always loud, walking loudly with his boots back.
Why can you see the whole thing?
Have you opened it in Excel?
No, I've opened it in numbers.
Should just be able to widen the column.
Right. Late stage hodl again. Annoyances. Jarl's American accents. Just kidding, they're great. Please continue talking in American, but seriously, noises. Dude, Max, we're on the same page with this. People coughing in a weird way. My wife is so sick of me critiquing people's coughs.
well, hopefully, if Max does his editing correctly, late stage hodl, you won't need to critique mine.
I might leave them in just to wind him up.
8 Mithrandir, 10,077 sats. Geez, so many boosters these days. I've got to up my amount to try and get read out earlier in the post. Great work on the new format and name. Fundamentals with 10,000 sats. Can't stand people on airplanes who play sound through their phones and pretend they don't know how fucking awful they are. I prefer a colicky baby screaming or a dipshit entrepreneur who won't shut the fuck up about his business, or even 2 bitchy broads complaining about how unfair their lives are the whole flight to these terrible phone speaker cretins.
Phone speaker cretins. I agree. You get them always on like trains and buses and stuff as well. Like playing loud music or having conversations on loudspeaker.
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with people? There's your little
Ignore the
nose
next
blow.
one. It's me. Yeah.
Black coffee. Go fuck yourself. Thanks, mate.
Wow.
Very sweet. Nathan Day. What a whiny little bitch.
Is that about me or you? Gotta be
It'll
you.
be about you. No, it's got to be you.
I think it was you because you were saying about
No.
Noster. It's gotta be.
Unlikely.
No waste BTC signs, 5,000 sats. I listen at 2.25 speed. Too many podcasts, so little time. The I Fucking Hate You song sounds better at 2 times speed too. 2.25? How are you keeping up?
That's mental. That's proper Rain Man stuff.
Jesus. I'm quite intrigued to hear what I sound like on 2.25 speed now though.
Yeah, I might have a listen. It's going to be horrific.
Yeah.
Fair play. Very efficient man.
Bubba, 5,000 sats. Minor annoyances. People in general, especially the breathing people. Wow. What a ray of sunshine. Love you, Bubba.
Late stage hodl. I listen to most podcasts at 1.25 speed, but then I've moved Jarl's back down to 1, simply because John shamed me into how much time you put into it. So it's fine. I'll fucking listen to it at 1x. I appreciate you taking the time, mate. Bon. 1.25 speed is the perfect podcast playback speed. At this point, you all sound super weird when I hear you say anything at 1x.
Well, Bon, I want you to very quickly, when you hear this, put your podcast player back to 1x. Thank you, Bon.
Listening. We love you, Bon.
Okay, you can go back to 1.25 now. Thanks. Wartime with 3,333 sats. 1.5x gang, Orange Heart beers. It depends on the content. Bitcoin Optech, I can only do 1 to 1.25. So what he's saying there, Max, is that because we're stupid and we talk about non-technical stuff that's easy to listen to, he can speed us up.
We appreciate that, mate. Thanks.
Thanks, Wartime.
Should we do the rest of the boosts at the back end of the show? Jump into some updates?
Yes, sir. Let's do it. Starting with the most exciting one at the top of the updates and releases section. I hope I don't butcher this name because it's a very cool name. AHIGARU version 1.0.0, a privacy-first mobile Bitcoin wallet, has been released. And for those that have not been on social media this weekend when it was released, this is a Samourai wallet fork that has been released called AHIGARU that builds upon the most recent Samourai wallet release, which I believe was 0.99.98 II. Still makes me laugh, those version numbers. And yeah, it's essentially a fork of Samourai wallet with some minor changes. The changes are minor at the moment, a couple of UI improvements. The main headlines, aside from the UI stuff, are Soroban is back online via a hosted server that this team is using, which means that you can now continue to do collaborative transactions like Stonewall 2x, X2, and Stowaways. A new Paynim server and also a new Paynim algorithm that produces these awesome looking Samourai Pepes. Very similar looking names. However, it is a different algorithm to the non-deterministic one that the original Samourai wallet team used to use. But the general principle of how they work, it's based on Bit47, all of that yada yada is all the same. The other big important change here is that this wallet will only work if you connect it to a dojo that you specify. Hopefully it's your own. So there's no default server. You can't use this wallet on easy mode. Like, you have to be running a dojo or connecting to somebody's dojo that you know to be able to even get into the wallet, which in my opinion is a good move.
Yes.
Problem is it's going to raise the barrier to entry significantly, but it is what it is. And clearly that whoever it is behind this team, by the way, I have no idea who it is and I hope it stays that way. Clearly, they want to continue this project in such a way that they are running as little of the infrastructure as possible. And obviously, the main one that can be used to compromise users, I guess, in a leak environment is to be running the default backend. So here, there is no default backend. All of the other wonderful Samourai wallet features that you come to know and love, like post-mix spending, batch spending, ricochet, Samourai backup files, stealth mode, blah, blah, blah. All of that is all rolled in because this is a carbon copy with some changes. And obviously, stating the obvious here, but I'm sure somebody would ask me if I didn't mention it, there is no Whirlpool in this app. And there is, from what they're saying, no plans to do so at this current time.
Well, I was very excited to wake up and see this all over Twitter, and very brave and very cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, just want to reiterate, I have no idea who's behind this, but if you are listening to this, thank you for picking up the mantle
Yeah.
and making this happen. So we'll be watching this one with a close eye. All of the code, of course, is open sourced under the GPL v3 license, so you can go and vet it. I would say that if you can't do that, then maybe don't jump in and start sending all of your funds and using it as your default wallet straight away. This is an anonymous developer in a brand new project, so just tread carefully with it and just see how it develops. There's no need for you to jump head over heels. As cool as it is, just be careful. It's a new project. The code, is days old at this point. It's specifically in the public domain, so just bear that in mind.
Yeah, good advice. Be interesting to see what comes up in terms of people being able to run their own dojos. It makes it slightly more difficult for people to do. There is no easy mode, but I wonder what we see in terms of making it as simple as possible for people.
Yeah, I mean, well, over and above what's already out there, you mean in terms of like plug and play nodes?
Yeah, like, will we see it available in some of the plug and play nodes where it works? Like, if someone's running an Umbrel or a Start9 or something like that, will they be able to run it on there and it actually work? Will there be other solutions coming out to make it more simple? What will happen with Ronin Dojo? What will they come up with? Will the x86 options be workable and good? Like, how will someone approach this if they're like, okay, maybe we're a month down the line, this has been vetted a little bit more, people are more confident, and people are like, okay, well, this is what I want to start using. Okay, now I need to set up a dojo and I haven't got one. What will be the most simple and most robust option for someone?
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I'd love to see personally a Start9 implementation. I think that'd be great. Obviously, I and a lot of other people run that onto proper hardware. So if it was packaged properly, I believe that the Dojo software would work very well on there. I don't actually know the status of the Ronu Dojo project at the moment. Have you got any updates on that?
Well, they stopped selling hardware, so you can't buy Tantos from them. I don't know what direction they're going. I think that they were talking about making it available for x86. And I think there was a way that you could do that, but I don't think it was directly through the Ronin Dojo team. So I'm guessing that's the way they're going, and I'm not sure where they're going to go. I mean, I have to get Zelko on to talk about it now that it's kind of going to be relevant, hopefully going forward again. But whatever they do is going to be exciting to see, and hopefully this gets some use. And as you said before, very, very happy to see this, and whoever's done it, thank you.
Yeah, it looks like it's not just a quick slapdash, kind of fork it and start serving an APK. Like the website and the blog, all really professionally written. So it seems like a somewhat of a serious outfit that's behind this. Some great design on the website and things like that. It's not just been cobbled together. Somebody clearly spent a lot of time and effort to do this properly. So AHIGARU team, whoever you are, hats off.
Yeah, thank you.
RoboSats v0.7.0 alpha has now been released, and they have a desktop application available for Windows, Mac, and Linux. Now, I don't know if this is new to 0.7. I think it is, but it's the first time I've ever heard of a desktop app for RoboSats, which is very cool to see. And there's also some Torified notifications for the Android application as well. So hopefully that means what I think it means, in the fact that you can get trade notifications that come to you over the Tor network, so that you know when you need to take the next portion of action to complete the next step of the trade. And the order book has now also been Nostr enabled and shared with Moster. So I believe Moster is like a competitor to RoboSats, but it sounds like there's some synergy there, and they've linked up, but I'm not sure under what kind of guise that they've got linked up. But seems that everybody's integrating Nostr in some way, shape, or form into their Bitcoin or Lightning related application at the moment.
It does feel like that. We had a lot of people whinging about the Fountain integration. A lot of people messaging me, and it does seem like it would make sense for a lot of stuff to integrate it.
What were people whinging about in terms of the Nostr integration?
Well, just like the fact that they had to now have Nostr to be able to comment and respond to comments. So they had something that they could use. You know, they could go on Fountain, they could send us sats, and they could write a comment and I could comment back. And then suddenly that was taken away from them unless they joined Nostr and linked their Nostr and fucked around and did all that stuff. So there was a few people who were just like, fuck this, I don't want to deal with Nostr, it's gay, I don't want to do it. And they were frustrated that they couldn't send messages and they couldn't interact with us. I get it. But I then set up my Nostr and I don't know, it took me like 10 minutes. It's not the biggest hurdle, but I can understand someone maybe getting frustrated.
Two things to that, what you just said there. Number one, around like people not wanting to go through the rigmarole of like having a Nostr account. Like I feel like the Fountain guys could have alleviated that a little bit by a simple yes or no button of, okay, do you want to link your Nostr account? Are you interested in this stuff? Yes or no? If you say no, like just do it for them in the background. Don't tell them about it. Don't communicate anything to them. And then whenever they comment to them, it looks like they're just commenting on their shows just like they used to. But then it makes it under the hood visible to some random pub key on Nostr so that everybody gets the best of both worlds. The Nostr people can still see your comment, but you don't have to deal with any of the headaches or the overhead of having to deal with and manage an NSEC, blah, blah, blah. That seemed like it could have been a quick win. Obviously, I'm oversimplifying there, and I'm sure there's a lot more to it than that, but just something I thought. And then around the impetus of why Nostr is important, like, yes, I understand that it's a bit more of a headache, but we've just moved from a place of when you're in Fountain, all of your comments are within a walled garden, the Fountain walled garden.
Yeah.
Then they've openly knocked down that walled garden and said, okay, yeah, we're going to allow comments from anywhere now. You can take those comments with you and you can have your own ID. It's very much more aligned with the way that most kind of Bitcoiners kind of see that, or how they would like to see this sort of stuff. Like it's the anti-Apple approach or the anti-Spotify approach. And, you know, I commend them for that, albeit, yes, there's been some teething problems, but it's definitely a step in the right direction, in my opinion.
I agree. And I spoke to Oscar, whenever it was, a week or two ago, about all this. And he took a lot of the feedback on board. He was very responsive with things. He said that they agree they definitely could have done things in maybe a slightly different way. And it was always a frustration with us that people from other apps who were sending messages and boosts we couldn't see and people couldn't interact. And as you say, like moving to Nostr does open that up. And if other podcasting 2.0 apps and players start doing the same, then it would be a nice thing to see. So I understand it and I appreciate how open he was. And we're going to have a conversation. We're going to do a confab soon. So people who have questions or frustrations or suggestions can then comment and we can see what we can do.
Nice. Look forward to that one. Live Wallet version 0.7.0 has now been released. So these guys, whoever is behind it, are shipping pretty quickly. We gave an intro to this one on the last Bitcoin brief, where it's kind of a fee estimator where you give it your XPubs, you can connect it to your own node, and then it will give you various different fee scenarios and Bitcoin prices and spending scenarios so that you can estimate when any of your UTXOs under any given circumstances will become unspendable. They've now added in version 0.7, they've added a consolidation mode that helps you do all of what I've just said, but when you're consolidating, let's say 10 UTXOs into a new one, you can see kind of how beneficial that could be, how much it's going to cost you, when would be the right time to do it, etc. So yeah, pretty cool, this one. I'm definitely going to be testing this one out. Passport release to version 2.3.2 with ephemeral seed support has now been released. We spoke about this 2 weeks ago where it was in public beta. All of the details can be found there, but the headline here now is that this is public and that you can now use your passport in ephemeral mode or in hybrid mode where you have a master seed and then you temporarily load in ephemeral seed as and when you would like. So you can kind of have the best of both worlds. And I'll use Max's favorite terminology. Seed signer functionality has very much arrived with Passport. And you can also now sign messages with QR code as well. So if you like to use particularly European-based exchanges, regulated ones, centralized ones, KYC ones, that require you to sign a message as quote unquote proof that you own an address, then you can do that as part of the typical Bitcoin message signing protocol over QR codes with Passport. And the final one, we've added fully noded as to the wallet connection list as well.
Nice.
LNbits version 0.12.11 has been released, and the main headline here is that there are 3 more different types of funding sources. So LNbits is kind of like a front end or a wrapper, or one of the cool ways to describe LNbits that I've heard is it's like WordPress, but for your Lightning node. So there's loads of different plugins and features and functionalities that you can use. They have, in this release, added 3 extra funding sources. That is Bolts, Breeze, and Nostr Wallet Connect. There's that Nostr word again. The one here that is very confusing to me, and I need to do a bit of homework on how this is going to work, is Bolts. Because as you all probably know, Max, Bolts is a atomic swap exchange where you can go from Bitcoin to Monero, or Monero to Lightning, or Bitcoin to Lightning and back, and blah, blah, blah. How can you use that as a backend for LNbits? That's very intriguing to me. Oh, okay. I've just answered my own question. So Ben Ark also released a tutorial for running LNbits on Liquid via trustless Bolt swaps on a Luna node server. So it looks like you hold a balance in Liquid somewhere, and then you use Bolts as a swap to receive via Lightning or something like that. Again, I'm butchering that, but very intriguing to me as to how that actually works.
So you hold your funds in Liquid and then you swap out. Sounds quite private, but obviously custodial.
Yeah. But if that's the case, like if you are holding your funds in Liquid, then do you see a Liquid balance in LNbits? Like that seems a bit weird.
When you were talking about Bolts, you said you can do Bitcoin, Lightning, Monero swaps. I don't think you can.
What, you can't go from Monero to Lightning?
I don't think so.
I'm going to fact check you right now.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm getting confused. So with Bolts, it's just Liquid, Bitcoin, and Lightning. My apologies. I'm getting confused with one of the many other swaps that... There are swaps out there that let you go from Lightning to Monero and back. There's many out there, but my apologies. Bolts is Lightning, Bitcoin, and Liquid only.
Just before we move on from this, what are your thoughts on just privacy? Like, I know obviously you have your issues with Liquid in terms of like custody.
Yeah.
But if someone, for example, was to go Lightning into Liquid, Liquid back into Lightning, and then send, presumably that is quite good in terms of privacy. And the second part of the question is, part of that Monero de-anonymizing talk that I was watching, they were actually talking quite heavily about Liquid. And I haven't quite understood how much information they can get from Liquid. Can the Liquid Federation see transactions within Liquid, or they couldn't actually report any information outside of this is the Lightning send in and this is what we've pegged out to? They can't see anything within there if they were to be asked.
Yeah, correct. My understanding is they've got confidential transaction to its hide, sender, recipient, and amount, I believe. But in your scenario where you went Liquid to Lightning, Lightning to Liquid to Lightning to then spend,
yeah,
would be like Lightning, or if you're running your own node and you have your own channels, Lightning already has very good sender level privacy. So I'm just not sure what adding that custodial Liquid hop is really gaining you. That's the bit I would kind of draw issue with, I guess.
Okay.
Like it doesn't seem to be additive. Like you're only kind of just adding in custodial risk.
Maybe the way that it could be used would be Bitcoin into Liquid, Liquid to Lightning, and then spend from there. I'm thinking in terms of like, for those of us who have had the option of using Whirlpool and have Postmix, we're in quite a nice situation where if we want to open a Lightning channel, we can do that with Postmix. And that's an ideal situation. But for people who don't have that option, if they had Bitcoin that they could send into Liquid and then peg out to Lightning, that would presumably be better than just opening a channel with their Bitcoin that could potentially be traced back to them, because that's already then, once it's in Lightning, then when they spend, they're in a good situation. But by opening the channel, they're causing themselves issues.
Yeah, I think I see where you're heading. Just one quick fact check correction on myself. Liquid has confidential amounts, not confidential. It doesn't hide the sender and the recipient. You can still see all those addresses. So apologies for that slip up. Again, it would be a simple way that you could, because you've got these wallets now like Aqua and all that sort of stuff where they make interacting with Liquid fairly easy. So would doing something like that be easier than going through Join Market or something? Then yes. In terms of like the privacy comparison, it's really difficult to be able to kind of quantify that for a couple of reasons. Number one, I don't know whether you can run your own Liquid node. Presume you can to gain like network level privacy. There's very, very few people using Liquid. Like I'm looking at the last 10 blocks. 1 transaction, 2 transaction, 4, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 5, 3. Although it has confidential amounts, you're not hiding amongst a very big crowd. So if you're just going to hop in and then hop back out, whilst the transactions on the Liquid network have confidential amounts, like the peg outs clearly don't because you're coming back on chain. So who and where you're doing that peg out, like if it's the same place, obviously that's going to be fairly trivial for them to. So all the same stuff applies that we've talked about with, swapping to Monero and back essentially, because it's like timing analysis, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff.
Okay.
I'd say there's probably some merit to it from a privacy perspective if you did it correctly and you took your time and you were okay with the custodial risk. But it's always that peg out. That's where you can't do that trustlessly. So you're always kind of at the risk of not being able to peg out. Now, clearly the Liquid network's been up for a long time and there hasn't been that many reports, if any, of anybody being refused a peg out, but it is still a trusted process.
There is still risk. I think what had me thinking about this is, and the person who I was having this conversation with is probably listening. And if you are and you want to give me more info or like ask a question or give us some info for next episode, that would be appreciated. But they were running through sort of like what they've been doing post Whirlpool and some of the things and tricks that they're using. And one of the things that they were saying to me is when they ask for a payment in Bitcoin, what they do is they post an address that's a standard looking Bitcoin address. It just looks, BC1, whatever. But when someone pays that, they're actually paying for a swap into Liquid. But the sender doesn't know that. And then they'll peg out in separate smaller amounts out to Lightning and then use that for their spending. They create a break between the person who's sending them the Bitcoin and anything then going forward, which I thought was quite an interesting option. And no one would ever know when paying that, or most people, maybe there is a way that you could work it out if you looked through a block explorer, but most people would just pay it and never know. And I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah, for that use case where you don't want the sender to know anything about your addresses or your Lightning node or anything like that seems like a fairly compelling use case. But then, as with everything, there's trade-offs. Like you mentioned that this person is then holding a balance in Liquid, so they have third-party risk, they have custody risk, and then they're spending from that in smaller amounts. Clearly, they're okay with that, and that's fine. That's cool. They've won on the privacy side of things, and they're okay with the third-party trade-off. It's fine if that works for you. Great, and for achieving the use case of my primary goal is I don't want the person that's paying me to know anything about my Bitcoin addresses or anything about my Lightning node, where it is, how much funds I've got, which UTXO's opened it, blah, 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 then yeah, they've achieved their goal. Great. And just to flip it on the other side, you can say, okay, well, why not just send them a Monero address, right? The sender still wouldn't learn anything about your balance or anything like that. Yes, they'd see a Monero address, but they can't see where you spend it thereafter.
Yeah,
but again,
because
most people, the trade-offs.
Most people won't. Within our Bitcoin ecosystem and like people I have conversations with and transact with, a very small percentage of those people would send me Monero. There are some, but not that many. Whereas on-chain Bitcoin is everyone. And then Lightning is like half of that, 3/4 of that. If I sent someone a Bitcoin address, which automatically on the back end is actually swapping out to Liquid, and they never know, I'm never going to have a problem. No one's ever going to question it. They'll just pay it and it's done. If there was a way of doing it so I send them a Bitcoin address that automatically swaps into Monero and they don't know, the same thing applies. And in my opinion, that would be better for me because then I can swap back out to Lightning from Monero and I don't have the custody risk, even though it's small potentially.
Yeah.
That would be preferable. So maybe there's a service that does that as well. And in that case, maybe that's better. But I just think it's kind of an interesting workaround.
You could do that with Monero with something like Trocador.
Of course, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like you could achieve it that way. But again, just to cap off what I was saying about trade-offs, like yes, with the Monero approach, you wouldn't have the third-party risk because it's fully self-custodial on a decentralized network. But then you've got the price exposure risk versus Bitcoin that you don't have with Liquid because it's a one-to-one peg. So it's like, it's not all, there's just trade-offs everywhere, which ironically, the financial slippage between the two has actually been favorable on the Monero side. So you actually would have done well out of it recently, I'm talking about.
Can confirm.
But again, the bit I'm trying to drive home is that there are no perfect solutions. There are just an acceptable set of trade-offs for your situation, what privacy you want to gain, and the headache that you're willing to go through to get to that goal. Blue Wallet version 7.0.4. And this one is titled Advanced Mode Unleashed.
Oh.
So this is a quote from their Twitter. One of the biggest takeaways of a recent thread is that people are not finding the most features that exist on the advanced mode. So we are killing the advanced mode and bringing all the features to the in-view options. So yeah, they're bringing to the surface things like address type selection, providing entropy via dice rolls, all that sort of stuff is kind of much more in the forefront. And I don't know how I feel about this because Blue Wallet has long since been renowned as one of the best kind of beginner wallets for all of your on-chain shit.
Mm-hmm.
They did quite a good job of that, probably because they had a lot of the advanced stuff hidden away. Now, obviously, again, talking about trade-offs, a lot of users weren't finding those advanced features, so they brought them to the forefront. Now, that's going to be a fine line to walk between it being detrimental to, in my opinion, their primary use case versus just like throwing all of this advanced shit at users, and they're going to be like looking at a button that says HD SegWit brackets bit 49 P2SH and be like, what the fuck is this? I haven't seen how they've done the implementation. All I will say is that that's a fine line to walk to get right. And, it's something that we go back and forth on when we're developing Envoy at Foundation literally every single day. So, I get that they're listening to the users because that was the reason they did this was from feedback from a Twitter thread. But again, implementing all user feedback is not always a good thing either. So I'll have to test that one out and see how they've implemented it. But I thought it was an interesting, bit of background to the development choice that they've got over there at Blue Wallet.
Well, let's see. As you say, they've always had a very good, simple user experience up to this point. So hopefully that continues.
Okay. Dana Wallet or Dana Wallet has been released. This is a mobile silent payments wallet for Bitcoin donations. So Dana, I'm going to stick with Dana. Dana Wallet is a Flutter app for accepting occasional payments such as Bitcoin donations. It uses the silent payments protocol to receive transactions while preserving on-chain privacy. Pretty cool. I'm looking at the No Bullshit Bitcoin snapshot of the images, and it looks like a very, very simple kind of wallet, with minimal kind of focus on fancy design or anything like that. It's very functional rather than, trying to take things to the edge of what's possible with design. I'll say that. Another silent payment wallet. Pretty cool to have another one. Amongst the ranks, this one clearly very simple to use because there's not that many options. So it could be, a great one to shove under somebody's nose let's say we have another trucker protest or something like that. This UI looks simple enough that I could hand it to a trucker and just say, look, follow the instructions and then just share this silent payment address and people will send you Bitcoin.
Very nice.
Only available on Android as well. So apologies to you Apple fanboys, but you'll have to look elsewhere. Keeper Desktop version 0.1.1 has been released and it has cross-platform support. So another new desktop application available for, it says cross-platform, so I'm going to assume it's Mac, Windows, and Linux because it doesn't specify otherwise. Yes, it does. Windows, Mac, and Linux. Not tested this one out, but I'm sure if they keep the same design language that they had from the mobile wallet, it'll be a great start. So if you're a desktop app user and you, for some bizarre reason, have the need or want to stray away from Sparrow Wallet, then head over and check out Keeper Desktop. Speaking of Sparrow Wallet, Version 2.0 has now been released, which is a big milestone. Once again, hats off to Mr. Craig Raw. Thank you for all your hard work and efforts. Lots of updates here, but the highlights are there's now support for Trezor Save 5, Ledger Stacks and Flex, and they also now support recovering Slip39 mnemonic shares, which is Shimmer secret sharing. So Sparrow Wallet now allows you to import your shares and reconstitute your wallet, let's say from one of your Trezor backups or something like that. So that's cool to see as well. There's a big, long laundry list of what's new here, but I won't go through it all. Obviously, it'll be linked into in the show notes. But yeah, congrats on version 2, Greg.
Yeah, thank you, mate.
All right, should we hit some more boosts?
Let's get into it. Should we, before we hit the boost, just jump into voicemails?
Oh, we've got a voicemail, have we?
Well, I don't know. Let's check. Hold on. This is Max and Q from the Bitcoin Brief. Sorry we can't answer right now. I'm busy editing and Q is in the gym training his calves. So please leave us a message after the tone.
We welcome topic suggestions, show feedback, and questions on anything Freedom Tech related. Please direct all number go up queries and politician simping to a nearby Twitter influencer.
The Bitcoin Brief is life-giving. It's order, and that's great. Suppression of free speech and the eradication of privacy is chaos. That's not good. KYC is the dragon that man must slay. Order must be restored by the robot with monstrous calves. Don't give up. Stay ungovernable.
Okay. No questions.
Who is that? Did they not leave a name?
Jordan, I think. He does a lot of the stuff for Ungovernable Misfits behind the scenes. Great guy.
Can confirm.
The robot with monstrous calves.
Did make me chuckle, that one.
But no questions. Next time.
Yeah, leave us a voicemail, guys.
Any other questions that have come in on any other platforms?
We do have some questions. We have one from this morning. Sorry, this was from last week. Agrarian Contrarian on Nostr asked me, could we get an overview of Nostr key storage using Passport? I got an inquiry from Dan, I don't know who Dan is, about how I manage and create my Nostr keys. It's so simple, easy, awesome, yet he had no idea. Maybe a presenter can incorporate some of this content into Nostr Valley, whatever Nostr Valley is.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, so on Passport, you can generate a Nostr key deterministically, very similar to the way you would generate some child keys using the BIP85 protocol, which is essentially what our key manager is an implementation of. So the way it works is when you set up your Passport, you'll be shown 12 or 24 words. That's your master backup for your Bitcoin. That's kind of the standard stuff. From there are multiple different applications or calculations that you can do to that seed to deterministically derive multiple other secrets. Now, that could be a password, it could be a Nostr key, it could be a Bitcoin child key. And these are done in such a way that it's repeatable. So if you take the same steps and generate the same index number, you'll get the same Bitcoin private key. My goddamn connection's gone again. I'm going to throw this computer out the window in a minute.
Yeah, it's horrific.
We'll have it fixed by next week. I'll have to do some troubleshooting with the cabling. Where the fuck was I? So yeah, so if you apply the same operation to the same key and the same index number, then you'll end up at the same child key or the same Nostr key over and over again. So the whole point here is that you don't have to make manual backups if you don't want to of any of those derived keys, because they are able to be deterministically regenerated at any point in the future. So to apply this to Nostr, you can apply this same operation to your master Passport private key, and it will give you a Nostr key for any given index that you want, that you can then go and import via QR code or via text to any of your favorite Nostr clients, and then have that backed up by your Passport without needing to make any additional backups. So that's the cool part about it. We've had a couple of questions about, can I import my Nostr key to Passport so that Passport can look after it? Not yet at the moment. The key manager implementation is purely like a deterministic generator and then storage functionality. So it's a one-way thing where you get given a new NSEC for any given index based on your initial private key.
Okay, you said a lot there and cut out a few times. What you're saying is you can create a key for Nostr within the passport, but you can't import one into the passport that you've created within an app or somewhere else. Is that right?
Right now, that is absolutely correct, yes.
Okay. Is there still a point to doing that? And if you're not using something like Amber, because you're creating a private key effectively, but then you're sharing it on a load of internet connected devices in loads of different apps all over the place. Therefore, it doesn't really matter where you've generated it.
Yeah, the point here is not to keep your Nostr NSEC permanently cold. Like, we just don't have the functionality for that right now, because the way that most of them work is that you paste it into an extension like Alby, you paste it into an app like Amber for then other apps to access it, or you just go and paste it straight into Damus or to Amethyst. The point here is not to maintain cold storage. It's just to generate it deterministically such that, you know, if you make a paper backup of it and that goes up in smoke and then somebody steals your phone and you've got no backup of your NSEC, then you can... Yeah, you've still got it. There's another copy in your encrypted backup with Passport.
Right.
You can regenerate it from your Passport seedwords, or you can just go and recover it from the Passport itself if you've still got access to the device.
That makes sense.
FastLion21 on Twitter asks, and I feel like this might be bait, but I'm going to answer it anyway. Thoughts on Coldcard? No cop-out answers. Also, why doesn't Passport use standard AA's instead of the Nokia battery thing? I'm going to let you answer this one first, and no, I'm not copping out because I will give my answer after Max.
Okay.
I'll answer the Passport bit of things. Obviously, that's well within my remit.
Oh, what am I doing? Just answering the Nokia bit.
The Coldcard bit. Thoughts on Coldcard was the initial question.
Thoughts on Coldcard? I just wish it was open source. I've used them. I still have them. Before Passport was available, it used to be my go-to. It's all right. I wish it was properly open source, and I wish the UX and design was slightly better, but there are certainly worse devices out there. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, so my thoughts are pretty much the same. My entire assessment of this is based on the Mark III. I don't have Mark IV, haven't bought Q. But on the whole, yeah, I think it's a pretty cool device. If you're an advanced user that likes to do hacky shit, like CDXOR and all that crap, then yeah, it's a cool device. Like, I think there's definitely a lot of people that could get value in it, but I think the form factor and the UX, especially after dealing with Passport day to day for my job, when I have to go, if I ever go back to Coldcard to, I don't know, do some multi-sig stuff or whatever, it really is like, I hate using a Coldcard now because the screen's tiny. The buttons are just not very clicky, and it just takes me an age to find what I need to on the tiny screen in the convoluted menu system. You know, there's a lot of people that love it, but that's my personal opinion. I just think the UX is just very much hacker man, and clearly they're leaning into that. Like, I'm pretty confident that that's their intention, but yeah, it just means that I don't enjoy using the device.
The last time I used one was probably a month ago or something like that, just fucking around with something. The one thing I will say for them is I did feel kind of like cool and like as if I was a bit hackery. Like, I did feel like, oh, I'm doing something really cool here. It took me 2 or 3 times longer than it did on the Passport. And I was like a little bit worried a couple of times and a bit like, oh, am I doing the right thing? And going back through the menu and stuff like that. And I had my little thing connected with like a battery pack that would disconnect, like a magnetic one.
Don't get me started on that.
I got like most of the way through doing what I needed to do, and then it disconnected because I'd moved, and I was like, for fuck's sake. So that annoyed me, but I did feel kind of cool. Whereas on the Passport, I feel like I could almost do it in my sleep. It's so easy. I don't have any stress and whatever, but I just feel maybe slightly less cool. So I'll throw them that.
Fair enough. And also, he also asked, why doesn't Passport use standard AA's instead of a Nokia battery thing? 3 main reasons. Number 1, AA batteries are big. Fucking connection.
You can't.
Sorry, mate. This is driving me fucking insane. Let me start again. They also asked, why doesn't Passport use standard AA's instead of a Nokia battery thing? There's 3 main reasons. Number 1, AA's are fucking massive, which would make the device massive. Number 2, whilst, like we did with the Founders Edition, we can supply you with the appropriate batteries, like lithium-ion ones that actually last and have a regular discharge. We know that most customers will replace them with cheap shit, which makes the device unstable when the batteries are anything less than 50% charge, and it just exhibits weird behavior that the device wouldn't be optimized for. And number 3, the Nokia battery thing is rechargeable. It's cheaper for the user. You can just recharge it. You don't need to keep buying AA's. You don't have to go out and buy rechargeable AA's that we supply it with. It's got a good shelf life, and it's a commodity item. Like, if you use your passport every single day and the battery starts to wear down and be less reliable, you can pick these up on Alibaba for like $10.
Yeah, and they're everywhere. Nokia
Yeah.
phones are everywhere.
That was intentional why we chose this battery, was because we know it's a commodity item and it's easily, like, you don't need to come to us to get a replacement.
Fair enough.
Last one, RCB on Twitter, and this was just this morning when I asked for some last minute questions. Sometimes I question why I do this, because sometimes I get some, this is a great question, don't get me wrong, but being asked it 1 hour before we record when I'm still prepping for the show is probably not ideal. Bitcoin OS claims first zero knowledge proof verified on Bitcoin mainnet. Bitcoin OS can enable rollups for a limited scaling of functionality on Bitcoin while keeping the base layer decentralized, secure, and, quote, boring, as the devs say. What's the deal? Short answer is I don't know. This is the first I've heard of this. Clearly I've heard of zero knowledge proofs and roll-ups and stuff, and that they're kind of one of the hot topics at the moment, and they show a lot of promise for scaling. How they achieve it, what the trade-offs are of it, of which I'm sure there are lots of trade-offs, would be the first things that I would go out to look for. I went on to the website very quickly just before we recorded, just to see what information that I could kind of glean from it. And it was very little. It seems like it's a scaling solution using zero knowledge proofs, and that it unleashes BTC, and it allows you to do like smart contracts and things like that. And if I'm being honest, it triggered my bullshit bingo detector quite a lot. I did have a poke around to see if there's any token with it. It appears that there isn't, so that's a good start. But other than that, it just seems like a standard roll-ups kind of approach to scaling Bitcoin that I'm, if I'm being honest, not very knowledgeable about. So, to anybody listening to this, if you have a complex topic like this that you want me to cover in any great detail, please comment below on Fountain or your podcast app. Do it nice and early so I've got lots of time to do some research, because stuff like this takes much more than 10 minutes before the show. So, please get in touch ahead of time.
Yeah, okay. So I know probably less than I did before the question was asked there, but appreciate it nonetheless.
See, this is the high level, like this is the depth of my knowledge. With the with the project Bitcoin OS, you'll be able to use Bitcoin near trustlessly without relying on federated or economically secured pegs. We're introducing cryptographically trust minimized Bitcoin, eliminating the need for intermediaries. Developers will have the freedom to build anything permissionlessly, ensuring interoperability and scalability. Like, again, that just gets my back up straight away because it's all positives. So
I liked unleashing Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It unleashes it, mate.
Trade, earn. Oh, it's got an earn section. What's this?
Oh, risk-free yield.
Earn interest on my Bitcoin. And this is, so to be clear, this is not Bitcoin OS. This is the website of the people that are building Bitcoin OS, and it's called Sovereign. Stake, lend, liquidity pools. Like, awesome. Yeah, I'm less impressed. And again, I'm not necessarily saying these things are tied, but it tells you a little bit about who's behind the Bitcoin OS thing.
You got to get with the times. Risk-free yield. You got to do it. You'd be stupid not to. You're leaving money on the table at the end of the day.
Stakers earn RBTC, borrowing fees in ZUSD. Yeah, I'm already triggered.
Okay, now you're finished. Bye-bye. Okay, should we jump into the boosts?
Let's do it.
So, where do we finish? Wartime was the last one. Listening on Breeze, boosting on Fountain Freedom. Boyaka, boyaka, loads of guns, loads of American flags, loads of mushrooms, strong arms, and punches in the face from Pies. Thank you, mate.
FOMO Matronic on Fountain, boosted with 1,000 sats, and they just sent a smiley face.
I think it's a winky smiley, isn't it?
Nope. It's
just a smiley face.
It's a smiley face, but in between the eyes and the mouth, there is an asterisk.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking winky smiley. Maybe it's like a special needs smiley.
You came to the right place.
Limon Schlange Breeze with just a rocket. Thank you.
Brother Abel, terrific recap on the latest news. Brother Max is right. He's not right about everything. Let's not blow too much smoke in his ass.
Don't know. What, are you going to read the rest of it or what?
That's it. Oh, it's across two. Oh, what's going on here? It's across two columns. So let me start again. Terrific recap on the latest news. Brother Max is right. When the children are too quiet, there's almost certainly some mischief going on. Laughing face. Jordan screwed me there.
Yeah.
He separated the comment into two columns.
He does that to keep you on your toes. Expatriotic. I guess I'm just a G because I bring my kids to random ass countries. Got lucky that zero COVID was repealed before I arrived though.
Expatriotic again. Indodax is an exchange in Indonesia I used to use, and they lost 20 million worth of crypto, including 15 Bitcoin.
Oof.
Expatriotic, I thought better of you. Why on earth would you use an exchange called Indodax? Like, is that not enough to tell you not to use it? He boosted again with Primal or Bust. Oh, God, he's one of them.
Yeah,
I know Primal cross-platform, but I'm pretty sure he's a iOS maxi.
Yeah, he is, definitely.
And I don't Noster, but if I did, Primal works. Well, you clearly do Noster, sir, if you're on Primal.
Yeah, he loves it.
Everything else is just dog shit. Changed my mind. Damas literally just did not function. Yeah, I got quite a few reports to the contrary, but again, can't speak from experience.
Expatriotic again. I just read this one. I'm at 1.5 speed, RHR 1.75 or 2.0. Odell at 1 speed is like watching paint dry. I could listen to Ungovernable Misfits on 1 speed, but I'm addicted to efficiency.
Bitcoin Boomer 12 boosted with 500 sats. Didn't realize you read these out. Just heard you make my day, my week, my month, my life, fame at last. Nathan Day calls me the destroyer of tech because I make it all easy software go wrong, then eventually right. That sounds familiar.
My type of guy.
Wasn't you, was it? Are you Bitcoin Boomer?
It's very fitting.
It is.
Pies of the pleb. Max, you fucking cunt. What a way to start a message. What? So disrespectful. Don't disrespect Rev Hoddle by announcing his meetup after the fact. And love from the swamps of dirty Jersey, boyucka, boyucka. And then all the guns in American and strong arms and things.
He likes an emoji, does our Pies?
He does, yeah. Love you, Pies.
Turner boosted with 150 sats. Listening at anything slower than 1.5x, and you sound drunk at this point since you asked. Who says we aren't?
Chad Farrow from Podverse, just streaming 100 sats a minute.
What a fucking guy.
Yeah, what a legend. We've also got a lot of Monero boosts or XMR chat boosts. Two things. What do you call them? I think we might have said this last time, but what are we actually going to call them? Because they're not boosts. And the second thing is, what is Monero's version of sats? Is it picos they call them?
Yeah, I think it's picaneros or something like that.
Picaneros. And
how many? They shorten it for picos.
And how many picos are there in a Monero? Is it the same? Is it 100 million?
Nobody knows. It's too private. That was my flippant way of telling you I have no idea.
Okay, so we've had some are we going to say the amounts or not? Because it's so private.
I don't think we should, but I will say I would start with the top two and highlight them first, but just say that there's a significant amount. Okay,
so we've had some extremely generous XMR chat messages, really, really generous. And I just want to say thank you so much to all of you who've been sending these in. I think out of respect for Monero's privacy, we're not going to say the amounts, but Dr. Zivago sent in a message. Finally, you gets are supporting XMR, the true freedom money. Good luck with focusing on the program. Incredibly generous message and picos. It really helps us to push this thing forward and help us with everything we're doing. So we really, really do appreciate that. And another one from Seth for privacy. Loving the new bi-weekly format, and especially love that y'all are fellow listen at 1x speed podcast people. Keep up the amazing work. Yours is the only Bitcoin-centric pod in the space I listen to on the regular. And then a little salute. Well, salute to you too, mate. And again, very, very generous. I keep wanting to call it boost. What are we calling it?
I think we should ask the audience, what are we going to call a Monero boost? Let's.
Yeah.
We can be the ones to give it its name.
Can I just suggest something that's come to me?
Oh, God.
What about a whisper? Because it's all like private and secretive.
Oh, sounds a bit gay.
It's a bit creepy as well, which I quite like.
Yeah.
There might be a better one. To everyone, a massive thanks, but especially to you two who sent in just, very, very, very generous amounts. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Let's round these off. The Privacy Designer. Congrats on taking the leap of faith. Wishing you the best and thank you for the podcasts. I listened to all the episodes since 2022 while solo hiking in the Alps. I love hearing shit like that. That's so cool, isn't it? The fact that somebody would be hiking in such a beautiful part of the world and then listening to me and you rabbit on about Bitcoin
rambling.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wild.
Sir Jams a lot. Is Max actually Ricky Gervais? ?
I'm curious what prompted this question.
Just probably because we're both so good looking.
Really?
And funny.
Oh, funny. Yeah.
I love Ricky Gervais. I've seen him live a couple of times.
I do like him. Never seen him live though.
It's very
I
good.
liked his did he go to the Oscars and tore everyone apart?
Oh my God, have you
never
seen
got
it?
asked to come back. Yeah, I've seen that one.
He fucking abused. There were some faces in the audience that were really not impressed. Yeah, if anyone hasn't seen that, it is well worth 10 minutes of your time.
Anon has XMR boosted, named TBC. Hope you guys can cover some Monero content occasionally to stay ungovernable.
Well, hopefully we have in this episode.
Indeed.
Carter, Free Samurai, cheers to the misfits, and shout out to the dads. Thank you, Carter. Again, all of these have been unbelievably generous. We really, really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, last one from Smoke. At the bottom of every rabbit hole, you'll find Monero. A dual coin approach to living in a techno kleptocracy is the cheat code. This is something the laser eyes will never understand. Shout out to Dread and Archetype. Props, as always, to Max and Q. Thank you, Smoke.
Yeah, thank you, mate. Big supporter of the show. Wow. Amazing to see all the messages and boosts and whispers.
Oh, God, please comment below so that we don't have to call them whispers.
But yeah, seriously, it's been pretty incredible ever since leaving Fiat and trying to do this full time to see the support. It really is amazing to see.
What about, I just had a name come to me.
Go on.
What about if somebody leaves us a Monerote?
A Monerote. Ooh.
It's like a multi-layer play on words there. They wrote to us, Monerote. Yeah. It rhymes with note. They left us a note.
And they Moneroed it to us.
Yeah. So see if you can beat that, guys.
That's the smartest thing you've ever said.
There you go. I can go to my grave a happy man. And I might actually be on my way to my grave, so it's good timing.
Well, I'm going to let you die in peace, mate. I'm going to start editing out the 100 times that your VPN has dropped.
And coughs and sniffles. Yeah, it's going to be... This one might be out by 2026, guys. Yeah, so apologies for the wait.
Thanks again to everyone, and we will catch you in 2 weeks.
Love you all. Free Samurai.
Free Samurai.